We continue now at the top of Daf Kuf Tez Zayin Amud Beis in Meseches Bava Basra. This is Bava Basra Daf 116b. This Daf is sponsored by Alexander Rosenfeld. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you'd like to sponsor an Amud or a Daf, see the description box below, and see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. On the previous Amud, Rami Bar Chama asked a question, and Rava said the answer is obvious from the Mishnah. And so the Gemara said, well, why is Rami Bar Chama even asking the question? And the Gemara now says, Agav Chorfei, Rami Bar Chama, because he's so sharp, Lo Ayin, but he wasn't so careful in terms of the question. And the Gemara is essentially saying that it is correct. The answer to that question is simple. And the Rashbam explains, Agav Chorfei Charifuso, Shayar Torad B'Sheila Acheres. He was really dealing with a different question, and because of that, so he was distracted, so to speak, and he asked the other question. To Lakaman, we'll see that question in a moment. Adifa Mina, the question that Rami Bar Chama will ask in a moment, is a better question. As the Gemara now continues, boy Rami Bar Chama asks the following question: Avi ha'av ve'achiv. Let's say you have the father of the person's father, and you have the person's brother, meaning the deceased. You have a question of whether his grandfather should inherit his property, or should his brothers inherit his property. Kagon, for example, Avraham v'Yakov b'nichsei Esav. Let's say you have Avram and Yaakov in the property of Esav. So Esav dies, and the question is, who inherits his property? Does Yaakov inherit his property? Yaakov is Esav's brother. Or does Avram, who is Esav's grandfather, does he inherit the property? Eza mehen kodem, which one takes precedence? Which one inherits the property? Amar Rava says, Tashma, coming here, a proof from the Mishnah. Ha'av kodem l'chol yotzei yerechu. It says a father has precedence before all of his descendants. And so Rava is therefore saying, since Avraham is the grandfather and Yaakov is a descendant of Avraham, wouldn't that mean that Avraham should be the one to inherit in this case? But the Gemara says not necessarily. Rami Bar Chama responds to that. Yotzei yerecho shelo v'lo yotzei yerecho shel beno. It could mean that the father, he takes precedence over his own descendants, but not necessarily over the descendants of his son. Meaning to say, in this particular situation, Esav dies, so Yaakov is the brother of Esav, and Yaakov is the descendant, or is the son of Yitzchak, who is the son of Avram. So therefore, maybe Yaakov does take precedence over Avram, because Yitzchak, for example, he would take precedence over Yaakov, because the father takes precedence over his descendant. But Avram, who's the grandfather of Yaakov is not his son, it's the son of his son, maybe Avram would not take precedence over Yaakov. And the Gemara continues, Hachinami Mistaber, it actually makes sense like that. It makes sense to say, like Rami Bar Chama, that really Yaakov is the one that should inherit the property. The Katani, because what does it say in the Mishnah? It says, Zeh HaKlal, this is the rule, Kol HaKodem Menachala, Yotzei Yerecho Kodman. It says, whoever has precedence, so then his children have precedence. And so now let's take a look at this case. V'ilu Isei Yitzchak. Let's say Yitzchak actually was alive in this case. So certainly there nobody disagrees. Yitzchak Kodem, Yitzchak would have precedence. Meaning, if Yitzchak was alive and Esav died, we certainly would say that Yitzchak has precedence over Avraham. And so therefore, Hashtanami, now also the Lesser Yitzchak, where Yitzchak is not around, Yaakov Kodem, Yaakov, who is his descendant, should come first, and therefore Yaakov should get the inheritance, and not Avraham in this case. And the Gemara says, Shema Mina, indeed we see from this that that is the proper ruling. And the Gemara continues with the Mishnah, Benos Tzlafcha, the daughters of Tzlafcha, Notlu Gimel Chalokim Benachala. They took 3 portions in their inheritance of Eretz Yisrael. The first portion was Chelak Avi, and the portion of their father Tzlafchad, Shahayim Yotzei Mitzrayim, because he was one of the people that left Mitzrayim. And the Tan of this Mishnah holds that each of the Yotzei Mitzrayim, they got a portion of Eretz Yisrael. So that was the first portion they took. The Chelko Im Echav Benichsei Chefer. Now Chefer also, Chefer was the father of Tzlafchad, he also left Mitzrayim, so he also got a portion, and that portion was distributed to his sons. One of his sons was Tzlafchad, so that's another portion that the daughters of Tzlafchad got, that the daughters of Tzlafchad received. And finally, the Mishnah says, V'shahaya Bechor. Tzlafchad was actually Chefer's Bechor, so therefore Notel Shnei Chalakim. So he actually got 2 portions from what Chefer left to his sons. And again, the Benos Tzlafchad, the daughters of Tzlafchad, received that double portion. Those are the 3 portions that the Benos Tzlafchad received in Eretz Yisrael. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph.